Hello, everyone. I am Shawn. I am from Queer Colors Theater, and today I am sitting down with Kathleen and Nicole, who are the director and the actress of our upcoming show, How She Kills by Natascha Graham. So, would you guys like to introduce yourselves? Talk a little bit about yourselves.
Kathleen, do you want to go first?
Sure. I know, I was looking at you. Yeah, so my name is Kathleen, Kathleen Gullion. I am the director of How She Kills. And yeah.
Okay, and my name is Nicole. I play Gillian in How She Kills.
Very nice. Keep it simple. I like it. Okay. So let's just a little bit of an overview. Kathleen, we'll start with you. Go ahead and, if you can, sort of describe the show without, of course, spoiling anything or giving anything away, but describe the show so that people might know what they're in for.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is it's a one-woman show about a 30-something woman who's reflecting on a past abusive relationship and kind of processing through the painful memories that she has from the relationship and sort of reckoning with where she stands now and how the abuse has affected her and affected her life now that she's kind of on the other side of it.
Very nice. Nicole, is there anything you'd like to add to that? If not, that's okay. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say something if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, yeah, Kathleen described it perfectly, to be honest, but it's, yeah, it's just this woman who, an average everyday woman who is just telling her story to the audience through her camera. And yeah, it's just recounting these scenarios or events that had happened, and some of which are quite sad and shocking, and it's just, yeah, taking the audience on that story, on that journey that she went through, and seeing what's become of her because of it.
Great. So, all right, then, Nicole, you sort of just mentioned it, but talk a little bit about the character. What has this sort of been like, learning who this person is and sort of getting in their skin and whatnot?
Yeah, it was, I did have to, I would describe it as grow into this character. I've never played a character like this before. I've usually been I've played much more animated characters where they're very energetic and I've got various props and it's all very lively, a lot of things are happening. But in this production with this character, it is very much just speaking to whoever's out there and just letting it all out, these emotions and things that have been bottled up for many, many months, and just dishing it out. And it's a very intimate, not only the setting is very intimate, but the concept and what she's talking about, what she's going through is very, I would say, raw. And I think there will be people out there who can relate to what she went through and what she's talking about. So it's pretty powerful stuff, in my opinion. That's what I thought. Making it along with Kathleen, it's, there were bits and pieces in the script where it does really kind of, set you aback and makes you think, what would I have done in that situation?
Great answer. And I have a question. I guess this one sort of can be for either of you, but what makes this show that it's through the perspective of a queer woman? How does that differ from shows that are similar themes of abuse and relationships? What is special about this perspective that you think is different from other perspectives?
Well, I think that there's one part of the script where Jillian thinks, who's going to believe me that I'm going through this? Who's going to believe that a woman could hurt another woman? And, in general, people who have gone through abuse tend not to be believed, but then that's only doubly true when it's a lesbian relationship or, any gay relationship. And I think that is kind of what drew me to the show in the first place. Just this, I think when people in the LGBTQ community, you know, there's that whole tagline of it gets better, and kind of once you come out, it'll be easier. And that's not necessarily true. You can still go through really harmful experiences. And I think there's a lot of betrayal that kind of comes when you realize that, of like, it was supposed to be easier, it's supposed to be better now. And that's not always necessarily true. And I think that is something that makes it a different sort of story than just, you know, other sort of stories of abuse and trauma. And also just the struggles that the character goes through to even come to terms with it herself, and then struggle against that fear of not being believed, not being taken seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is one of the reasons we really enjoyed the script, was that it's a queer script, but it talks about things that really aren't discussed a whole lot in media, is that queer relationships can be very toxic, and there can be abuse, there can be, you know, mental health issues and these things. And we don't want to, you know, show that these queer relationships are negative, but I think it makes it feel so much more human, because these things can happen to anybody. And that was a big reason that we really liked the script. So yeah, absolutely. And Nicole, for you, were there any sort of methods or maybe any sort of exercises you used to get into this mindset of this character?
Not so much method. I mean, like I said, I did have to grow into this character. I felt like it wasn't something that I could just, you know, get into straight away. It was almost we had to work our way through the script a number of times before I could really, you know, put myself in this character's place, because it's similar to what you two just said. You know, anything LGBT related in whether it be film or music, TV, it's usually, the majority of it is about the story of that person coming out and how they deal with that. But this being entirely different, that's almost not pushed aside, but it's focusing on, you're already there, you're already in it, you're in this relationship with this person. And yeah, it can be as toxic or as lovely as any other relationship, no matter what your sexual orientation. So yeah, it was just putting myself in the mindset of what I would do being in a toxic relationship, no matter who that was with, and just going by, you know, yeah, great, thankfully not so similar experiences, but things that I can kind of recount back on and think, yeah, what would I have done? Or that I know someone who's gone through that. So yeah, things like that to help me try and understand what it is she's going through at that time in her life.
Okay, awesome. And Kathleen, for you, was there anything that you were worried about not being able to translate from text to the screen? Like, what was the biggest thing that you really wanted to get through that was in the script that you really wanted to come across through the camera?
That's a really good question. I think for me, I wanted it to really feel like this was someone who was on the other side of it, but was still going through it. If that makes sense, I didn't want it to just be someone sitting down in front of the camera and just telling a story. I wanted it to be someone who was actively processing the experiences. And I think, yeah, I think Nicole did a lovely job with that. And then that was something that we did work on a lot. And I think like she beautifully conveyed that sense of that, even though it can be months or years past something, just still talking about it, like you still realize new things and you still feel things you hadn't felt in, you know, since that time. And so I just really wanted it to feel like, you know, she said raw, and I agree. I wanted it to feel raw and live and active and real. And yeah, that was my main, that was the main thing I wanted to bring out of the text.
Sure, great, awesome. And Nicole, for you, were there any sort of surprises or new revelations you made about this character from the start of production to the end?
Yes. It was really the first time when I read the script, to be honest. You know, having sat down and read it all and reading it out loud during our first rehearsal, is there is definitely this change in, I almost want to say, atmosphere as well as tone towards the end, which I wasn't expecting. I don't think the audience will expect either. It's almost that the script changes to this really kind of graphic, detailed way of describing someone's emotions, and it just really, like I said, it's really powerful stuff. But that did, yeah, it kind of put me in a different mindset almost, and I thought it just kind of blew me away how the script was taking this, you know, us through this journey, and then at the end it just kind of hits you with this ultimatum almost. It's really powerful stuff. I don't want to ruin anything, obviously, but it caught me off guard, and it's also my favorite part of the play is towards the end where there's this shift.
Awesome, that's great. And so I guess just one more question. This is for both of you. How, we sort of talked about this at the beginning, but very briefly, how would you describe the emotions of the show? What can audiences expect? Of course, without giving anything away, of course, but you know, what are audiences expecting to maybe feel or to sort of experience?
I mean, I think that there are, so I'm trying to put this into words. I think that there's actually a lot in this script that even if you haven't gone through something exactly the same, you can still relate to that feeling of feeling small or feeling put down or just feeling like you're not you're making choices that you're not living the life that you kind of want to live, and you're kind of, she talks a lot about feeling like a ghost and feeling like just an empty kind of person because of everything that she went through. And so even if you haven't necessarily gone through an abusive relationship, I think there's a lot that people will find themselves relating to. And yeah, and if you have, I think that if you have gone through something similar, I think that the way that, you know, the writer, the playwright put it into words is really real and visceral. And I mean, that was one of the things that did draw me to it, was just, I feel like it'll be gut-wrenching, but also validating in a sense, just to see that experience put into words.
Yeah. Cole, is there anything you would like to contribute to that?
That was beautifully put, by the way. I don't think I can top that. But yeah, I think it's just that word real, isn't it? It does feel real, and because it is, I suppose, the fact that it is a virtual play, and that it is just the one character talking to the audience. It's such an intimate setting, and I think that only pushes that realism and that kind of rawness to it, to think that there is someone almost, you know, reaching out to you, and who can possibly you can relate to as well, like Kathleen said, whether it be in a toxic relationship or not, whether it's mental health and various other things. So I think it's important, and it's real, and I think it's just a fantastic story, a fantastic queer focused story that I haven't seen done before, which is why I was so drawn to it as well. So yeah, I hope everyone likes it.
That's that's most important, right? We hope that somebody out there likes it at the very least. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Those were really beautifully put answers and really insightful. So thank you guys very much. How She Kills will premiere on YouTube Saturday, February 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to check that out and follow Queer Colors on Instagram and Twitter if you haven't already. And thank you guys, Kathleen and Nicole, so much for doing this. And really, it's going to be a great show. So we hope you all see it. So thank you very much.